Hi, everyone. I've been thinking a lot about how to do this, and I hope this is the right way. This is a video about one very special and important woman in my life. Her name is Latasha Stewart. I first met Latasha Stewart about 3.5 years ago in December of 2020. She had filled out one of my surveys as part of my research project examining the impact of the media on trauma survivors. Latasha wrote that her son, Gregory Stewart, had been murdered in East St. Louis, Illinois, in May of that year. Asked whether members of the media had tried to contact her after her son was murdered, Latasha wrote, no. Asked how that made her feel, she wrote, like they don't care about my son being murdered. 70 other homicide and traffic fatality survivors filled out that same survey, and I researched the media coverage of each one of the cases. Sometimes, when a survivor thought there had been no media coverage, there actually had been some, although usually very minimal. And sometimes, when they said there hadn't been any media coverage, there really hadn't been. That had been the case with the murder of Gregory Stewart. But it wasn't that I found no mentions online of his murder up to the point that Latasha had filled out my survey. I just hadn't found any mainstream media mentions. What I did find were several videos recorded by Latasha Stewart herself, pleading for information about her son's murder, and posted to Facebook. Latasha in her car.
Good morning. I'm just sitting here in my feelings and my thoughts and thinking about my baby, Gregory Stewart, this morning.
Latasha outside the home where her son had been shot.
And this right here is the property right here where he was murdered at.
Latasha at the graveyard.
Please help our family to get justice, please.
I was astounded that this woman, always identified as
Gregory Stewart's mother,
who spoke with such conviction about the murder of her son and the impact it had on her family.
And you really don't know the pain until you're in those shoes. And believe me, it's a hard shoe to feel.
Had not been interviewed by a journalist.
And he loved his family and he loved life.
I decided to reach out to her on Facebook, and I heard back almost immediately. We connected over the phone the following week. Hi, Latasha, how are you?
I'm doing fine.
Good. Over the course of that first conversation, she told me about Gregory.
He was a father of 5 children. He had a lot of ambition and goals and dreams in life.
And about how, before she began making her video appeals, she had started posting pictures of Gregory and his story on Facebook, along with the Crime Stoppers flyer.
This is his Crime Stoppers.
She hung that flyer not only around the neighborhood where her son was murdered.
Every different neighborhood and community, you know, from the mall all the way around the whole county, St. Clair County. My son flyers is up.
Latasha told me how she reached out to several media outlets, but that nobody took an interest in her story, at least not at first. She made a Facebook page called Justice for Gregory Stewart, and there were, of course, the videos, a lot of them.
And it's Justice for Gregory Stewart, please. What is in East St. Louis at 2408 Bond Street. They stole him, Gregory Stewart, my baby.
Finally, a media outlet paid attention, and then another and another. All Latasha Stewart's doing. Some of the stories clearly reported based on footage recorded and posted online by Latasha and her family.
Within the community that has information about the death, the murder of our son.
Researching the murder of Gregory Stewart and the history of East St. Louis, its notoriously high homicide rate, its poverty, income inequality, forced me to confront the impact of systemic racism, of racist policies that were enacted a long time ago, that continue to divide, that continue to leave so many mothers like Latasha Stewart pleading for answers and justice after their sons are murdered, that continue to impact, I believe, the way gun violence is reported by the media. The impact Latasha Stewart had on me personally was profound. Not a week goes by that I don't mention her story to someone. Her fierce advocacy, the lack of attention that her son's case and the cases of other young Black men received in the media.
Contact the Crime Stoppers at 1-866-371-8477 or contact the Illinois State Police
Her advocacy and courage were such an inspiration.
I'm not going to hide. I'm going to keep on going forward and fighting for justice.
1 year ago, Latasha was shot to death in the parking garage of the hotel where she worked. I only learned this news last week while checking whether there had been any updates in Gregory's case. I'm shattered for Latasha and for Gregory and for their family and for our world for having lost this remarkable soul, this warrior woman, this person who was unlike anyone I had ever met. I love you, Latasha, Gregory Stewart's mother, and I will never stop telling your story.
And I look forward to seeing my son again in paradise, and I know that I will.